Your identity is your foundation of your entire reality. So your identity is who you believe you are and what you believe is possible for you. You cannot get out of this. It is always going to have a definition. You're always going to have some story around who you believe you are and a story around what you believe is possible for you. This is what's making up and manifesting your entire reality. You cannot see outside of your identity. You can, however, expand and upgrade your identity.
I am
magic.
I am strong.
I am power.
I am confident.
I am worthy.
I am
self-liberation.
I am powerful.
Leadership.
I am creation. Hello, my gorgeous people. Wow, okay, so much to dive into today. So this past weekend, Robert and I went backpacking. Now, if you're someone who has been with me in my life for a while, number one, you know, I loathe camping. Never have liked it, ever, okay? Like it's a hard no, don't even invite me. Like I won't be there. However, the way that this came about with these little incremental shifts, I think is so universally brilliant that we have to talk about it because I believe that this is exactly how we shift and expand our identities. And I'm going to tell you a story of how it happens. Number one, you have your definition of self, right? We have the idea of who we believe we are and what we believe is possible for us. And then we also have the things that we're like, nope, not doing it. Like absolutely not doing it. You've cut it out of your reality. And that can be helpful in defining who you are, setting a standard, setting a boundary. It can also be very limiting. And my husband, Robert, is brilliant at breaking down that limitation that I put in place for my own identity. Okay, so I've never wanted to go camping. I've done it maybe a handful of times, hated it every time, was like, no, I don't see the point. Why am I going to get in my car and drive to the side of a river and pop a tent when I can just sleep in my own bed? Like, why would I do that? It made no sense to me. And so we have to talk about how I arrived here incrementally to camping, not only just camping, like putting a backpack, like a backpacking backpack on my back, hiking 3 miles up a mountain, and then camping. Okay. So for those of you who are new to the podcast, your identity is your foundation of your entire reality. We talk a whole lot about identity in my world. It is the foundation of what the 6-month in-depth spiritual coach training program is based on. It is the base of all of my coaching. It is literally how you manifest a new reality without having to constantly muster up a whole bunch of energy to try to create something. Like your identity is foundation. And whether you think you have it or not, you do. So your identity is who you believe you are and what you believe is possible for you. You cannot get out of this. It is always going to have a definition. You're always going to have some story around who you believe you are and a story around what you believe is possible for you. This is what's making up and manifesting your entire reality. You cannot see outside of your identity. You can, however, expand and upgrade your identity. The question truly is how? How do I expand my identity? How do I upgrade myself so that I create a new level of reality without having to constantly willpower my way there? Because as we know and we talk about all the time, willpower is exhausting. Willpower runs out. Willpower is for sprints, not marathons. You cannot create a whole new world purely based on willpower. That willpower has to convert to embodiment. And embodiment is what creates a different level of reality that you're experiencing. So how does this connect to camping? So I had ruled out camping. I am not a person who camps. It was literally in my identity. It wasn't like a loud part of my identity, but it was there. Anyone who knows me would know Marli doesn't camp. She's not going to sleep in a tent. She's not going to sleep on the ground. You got a hotel room for me. You got a beautiful Airbnb. You got my cozy bed at home. Like I'm there, but I'm not sleeping outside. Okay. So then how did my husband get me to go from saying, no, absolutely not, I'm not going to do that, to hiking up the side of a mountain for 3 miles with a 20-pound backpack and then camping up there, literally sleeping in a tent. Here's the story. In 2020, and if you've been on the journey for a while, you were there when we did this. In 2020, my husband bought a camper van. It had always been one of his dreams to buy a camper van, renovate it, and take it across the country. Well, we all know what happened in 2020, right? So Robert had bought this camper van, renovated it, and there was this moment. So we had booked all of this travel to go outside of the country. But as we all know, international travel got squashed. So Robert has this camper van. And then one day he's like, what if we don't leave the country? What if we take the camper van and go across our country? Okay, so here's the in. One, I was even against sleeping in a camper van back then. Okay. I was against glamping. I didn't want to go camping, and I didn't even want to go glamping. Like, that was not in my realm of possibility. Like, I'm not doing that. He says, it'll be fun. Let's try it. Let's go. Okay. So what I want you to notice here is he's asking me to go outside of what I have said I will not do. Now, we're talking about camping, right? This is not life-altering by any means. However, it was a big deal because it got me outside of my normal realm of possibility. Now, the way that he gets me with things is it's an adventure, and I live for adventure. One of my top number one values and priorities is what I call the magic, living in the magic. And what that is doing things that is literally outside of the box, things that most people don't do, getting out of that normal check the box routine. It's doing those little magical things like, let's fly to a random city for a weekend. Let's get on our bikes and pack a picnic and go adventuring and find a place we've never been to before and have a picnic and wine. Let's randomly book a trip to New York. Let's go to Spain. Why not? Let's go do that. I live for adventure, magic, and travel. And so here we were looking at essentially a juxtaposition of we're going to stay home and not leave because, it's 2020, or we can stay in a camper van and travel the country. So the camper van was a no-brainer. It's like, yeah, let's do that. Let's go. So here's my first little inch outside of breaking that barrier of what I had defined myself as, breaking that old identity open, saying, oh, no, I don't do that, to, well, maybe I could do that. Let's give it a go. Let's try this, right? So in hindsight, looking back, we spent about 4.5 months traveling the country in our camper van. Those 4.5 months are some of the most incredible, magical memories. So just things you never thought that you would experience, we experienced simply because I was willing to say yes to something I don't normally do. Okay. So this is that first little breaking down of the barrier. Well, then fast forward to now. Robert gets into walking with weight. Essentially, he just had the weight vest, and then I had my little backpack, and we put weight in my backpack, and I was doing it with him because I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed being with him and fitness and working out and those sort of challenges. And then that suddenly evolved into, well, maybe we start going backpacking, hiking, and then before I knew it, we were at REI and I was buying a backpack. And we all know you're not buying a backpack unless you're going camping. Amen. And so I think at the time I really just kind of put the camping out of my head. I was like, well, we're just going to do this thing. And what I was really sold on was the potentiality of going to amazing places. And we can all blame Instagram for this with the travel videos, because there are some incredible, out of this world, you can't even believe they exist, places that you can truly only get to if you're willing to hike into it. And so there was a motivation there with travel and adventure, once again, that was overriding my no to camping. Now, suddenly it became like, yeah, I know that camping is going to be a part of this, but I'm just not going to think about that right now, right? And so this past weekend, we went on our first backpacking overnight camping adventure. And literally, it went exactly how I thought it was going to go. One, I love, love, love the challenge of hiking up a mountain with weight on my back. I crave that level of physical challenge. I knew that was going to be a part of it. I also knew that sleeping in a tent was going to be part of it, but I was just trying not to think about that. So we do this, and it's gorgeous. The views are insane. You can check out the podcast on A Journey to Love that Robert and I do together, where we kind of detailed the whole backpacking trip. It was beautiful. We did camp in a tent. The sleep was terrible, just as I expected, but it wasn't that bad. And what it really showed me was, one, it really pays off to do things outside of what you normally decide you can or can't do. Like, well, I can't say can or can't, because I believe I can do everything outside of what you would or wouldn't do. I had written off camping. I'm not going to do it. Didn't see a point in it. But then there was an element, an angle, a different perspective introduced to me that essentially said, well, yeah, camping's part of this, but look at the reward you get. Now, let me clarify. I'm still not going to drive and park next to a riverbank and camp right there. I don't see a point in that. But I will hike up a mountain. I will go to Portugal. I will go to Peru and hike through the Amazon. Like, I will do these things that my soul craves. And then camping might be a part of it. What I'm getting at is that it expanded my identity. I had a box. And we all have a box. And I know, like, we may or may not realize it, but I'm going to tell you right now, you have a box. You have a set of limitations. You have a set of boundaries. You have a set of standards that says, I do, I don't. I will, I won't. I could, I'm not. Like, we have those things in us. And it's literally how we define ourselves and how we define life. And the moment that you start expanding them, I'm going to tell you this right now, it's going to like twist your brain a little bit. Because after we got done, and I enjoyed it, and I was like, that was great. That was good. The sleeping situation could be better. But when you do things that you don't normally do, your brain has to adapt to it. Your idea of self has to adapt to it. So we're in the car and we're done. And I was like, that was great. I could do that again. I want to go, like, I'm ready to like book flights to like Seattle and go, see all of the Pacific Northwest, right? But what I felt and what I was telling Robert was, it's like my brain is having to wrap around a new expanded identity. Because I am still 100% the girl who is going to stay in a luxury hotel, who's going to get a gorgeous Airbnb, who is going to have all of the 5-star luxe things that I love. And now I also am the girl who will go backpacking and sleep in a tent. Before, the juxtaposition of it was you're this or you're that, not both. And now I'm expanding into both. And there's something about that. There's something there that I think is so vitally important. And at the same time, look at all of our world and look at how we like to categorize things. And look at how it's a perfectly natural thing to say you're this or that. You're either the girl who's hiking and doesn't wear makeup and has her hair in a bun and sleeping in a tent, or you're the girl who's staying at the 5-star luxe hotel and living your best life, eating brunch on a patio overlooking the ocean. We have this thing where we say it's this or it's that. And my message is you can be it all. You can be both. And when we get out of needing to categorize ourselves and instead we start to build that internal definition of expanded self, like it's just me, it's just the Marli frequency, it's just who I am this and I am that. That, I think, is when we really start to define our world on our own terms. Because there's so much out there about fitting into one box or another. And what I'm saying is blow up the box. And every time you start to see your box forming around you, blow it up again. Because this is how we constantly stay in that state of growth. This is how we stay out of getting in a rut, staying stuck, only seeing one perspective, only seeing one side, only seeing the little tiny world that's around you. This is how we constantly stay in that state of magic, that state of expansion. Because at the end of the day, it's like, why not? Why not be both? Robert and I call it that and life. It's not this or that. It's this and that. Why not have both? Why not create your own lane, create your own world, decide who you're going to be, and then blow it up and challenge it? Always be challenging that definition you gave to yourself. Now, we're talking about camping, which is like a silly thing, but I want you to hear the message that's underneath it. Where have you limited yourself? Where have you said, that's not for me, or that's not for people like me? I am this. I do this. I can't do that, because challenge that. And it might be something silly like camping, but it might be something much more impactful, like you have a dream or a vision for your life and you're saying, I can't do that. I'm not that. Well, says who? Who has decided what you are and what you're not? Only you. You are the only person deciding your self-definition. So when you have a call or a pull, or there's something in front of you that you're like, I don't know, maybe I want to do that. Go do it. Just give it a go. Try. Because this is how we change our definition of reality. The only way that your reality is going to permanently change is if you change your definition of self. We all have what's called a calibration set point. And it's essentially like, this is your comfort zone. Like, this is where you live. This is your definition of self. And you might one time, be able to reach outside of it. But if you haven't upgraded your self-definition to say, I am someone who lives here, you're always inevitably going to come right back down here. So when we do things that kind of break up this idea of self, that sort of twist our brain a little bit to say like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. Who am I? When we do that kind of stuff, we are expanding our reality. We're loosening that anchor. And when that anchor is loosened, well, now you can rise up and you can set it at a new set point. And when we upgrade our identity, we upgrade our reality. This is why I'm always preaching about the inner work and working on yourself, because it's truly the only way that your world changes permanently. We are taught so often to try to manipulate and change reality outside of us. But in truth, it always comes back to you. Who do you believe you are, and what do you believe is possible for you? This is what's determining everything in your life. So while my silly little story about going camping can be looked at as just like, oh yeah, you went camping, in truth, what it did was expand my definition of self. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm still reconciling with it because I'm like, what did I just do? So what I want you to take away from this podcast is get outside of your normal comfort zone box. If there's something that you say you don't do, and the only reason you don't do it is just simply because it's uncomfortable or you haven't given it a chance, like try something different. If there's something that's kind of pulling at you a little bit, that feels fun, that feels exciting, but also you're like, I don't know, it might be uncomfortable and I might be afraid to go do it. Just go do it. Because one, what you're going to do is you're going to surprise yourself. You're going to see that you are so much more than what you've defined yourself as. But two, your confidence is going to grow. Anytime we do new things, like we're brave enough to go and do something new, it's gonna grow your confidence in yourself. And confidence is life-changing. Amen. And the other thing that I think about with this is, what is the universe or God or angels or your guidance, whatever you want to call it, what is it preparing you for? Because a lot of times, all the time, every single thing in our life is preparing us for the next thing. So while I'm sitting here conquering backpacking and camping, what is that setting me up for? What is that preparing me to do later? I think about one, the perspective shift that it creates when you go from, your normal life is just indoors in your comfortable house to then purposefully putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, sleeping outside. One, that's going to give you a perspective shift on your normal life. Like hard things are not going to seem like hard things because you actually went and did something uncomfortable and hard, right? So your normal life becomes easier because you expanded your capacity for what you are able to handle. But also, one of the things that I'm constantly dreaming about and constantly envisioning is traveling more to the most incredible places, like walking through the Amazon jungle or going on these incredible hikes in Portugal, just doing these things that are outside of what I normally do, but are something that I feel called to. So how is what I'm doing right now essentially preparing me for that? How are these pieces going to connect together? Sometimes we can't see, but what we can know for sure is that right now is the connector to everything in your future. So when you say yes to something that is not normally within your realm of what you do, that's something that's outside of your comfort zone, know with all of your being that it is preparing you in some way, especially when someone else just kind of brings it to your life. Like I would never go backpacking or camping on my own. This is 100% because of my husband. And I appreciate it. I'm here for it. Do I have to do it? 100% no. But do I want to do it because I want to have the physical challenge, because I want to do these things with him, because I want to have adventures? Yeah. So there's a bigger pull energy to this thing, even though it's outside of my comfort zone. And that's with purpose. So what is that setting me up for? What is that preparing me for in the future? I don't know yet, but I know it's something. So get outside of your comfort zone, go do something that you've never done before. Say yes to that magical thing, come up with something and just go do it. I highly, highly encourage every single one of you that are listening to this, go do something you don't normally do. One, it breaks up the monotony of your life. It starts to break those neural connections of this is just what you do every day. It starts to expand your mind to see more, and it will expand your identity. And again, every time you expand your identity, you change your reality. So get out, go do something you don't normally do, say yes to something crazy, and start living a life outside of that normal box. This is what's going to create the magic for you. This is what's going to expand your reality. And I can't wait to hear from you when you message me and tell me what it did. So thank you for listening. If you haven't, please leave a review on the podcast below. I love reading your feedback. And if you are interested in coming into my world, you can check out all of the links in the show notes below, the website, the newest program that's coming, and I will see you in the next episode.